Hello and welcome to Landscape Photography World, the podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their motivations, likes and dislikes. This week I'm speaking to West Australian landscape photographer Christian Fletcher. From his gallery in Dunsborough, Christian has honed his craft, mastering light, composition and colour. He has become renowned for his evocative landscapes. Beyond his gallery, Christian shares his expertise through workshops and tutorials worldwide. His diverse portfolio, ranging from landscapes to urban scenes, showcases his fearless creativity. Recognised with numerous awards, Christian continues to push boundaries in photography. We discuss his remarkable career defined by passion, innovation and a profound love for the landscape and the art of photography. Christian shares his journey from using a simple Kodak camera to becoming a global figure in landscape photography, business lessons learned along the way, the transformative power of photography, and the unwavering pursuit of creativity, along with lots more. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day, Christian. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm going good. I'm going good, mate. I'm just sitting in my office. It's 7 o'clock. It's late for you, obviously. And yeah. I've just been over to my mum's house and my sister was there. We had a bit of a family catch up and my girls are in watching the Gilmore Girls, which is they're watching it again. And I think watching the Gilmore Girls the first time is probably a bit sad, but they're actually watching it again. So they'll go in our house.
Yeah, it's not. I think my girls are in bed and my wife's just watching some late night TV of some sort. Yeah, it's absolutely. Much the same here. We did have my eldest daughter and her husband and their dog over for dinner though, so that was all right.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's nice. Family stuff.
So let's talk photography. What is photography to Christian Fletcher?
Well, without sounding corny and a bit trite, it's pretty much everything about my life is revolved around photography. After getting a camera, in fact, I had my first camera here. This is my little camera that I had when I was a young fella, and a little Kodak Instamatic. And I've got a photo of me at Perth Airport back in the day when TAA was still flying. I'm not sure if you remember. So that was first time I actually took photos, and then it wasn't until I was 18 that I picked up a camera again and started to get into it. I bought a camera at 15 with my dad and my brother. And then that's when I had my Rolleiflex, which was a nice little camera to get me started. But to me, it's been years of my life now. And it's taken me all over the world. It's introduced me to great people and interesting cultures and just given me the best life I could ever imagine. Came from a pretty humble upbringing. Parents were working class. We grew up in a suburb called Coolbellup in Perth, which was state housing, and never really had any money or anything like that. Never had any ambitions to be anything or anyone, or never thought that I would be good at anything other than what my dad did, which was working in the government. I just followed his footsteps from school, and so it's pretty much transformed my life.
Okay. So when did the artistic side of photography start for you? When did you start saying, okay, most people, you take shots of your family or your cat or your surrounds or whatever.
Yeah.
Where did landscape photography come in, and where did the art around landscape photography start to come in?
It's funny, when you first start out taking photos, I think you actually try to be a bit more artistic initially, and then you get a little bit jaded and you start doing more commercial stuff because the economic realities kick in. I've got to make some money out of this somehow. So I think I went in, and I remember looking at my early work and because I was doing black and white stuff. It started off with my own darkroom, and I was looking at that work and thinking, actually, I was trying to be artistic. I was trying to push the boundaries a little bit and just see what I could do with photography. But I don't know if you would call it good, but it was...
That's a subjective thing.
Yeah, very subjective. And it wasn't until I actually got control, until digital or until digitalization. It wasn't until I started scanning my transparencies that I started to get some control over what was creative control. And that's when I thought, I can be creative now. I'm not sending it off to the lab and I can get into I was doing darkroom stuff. So I was trying to get a bit tricky with my darkroom, dodging and burning. And then I started compositing, and which was really, I didn't do a lot of compositing. It was quite difficult.
Yeah, darkroom compositing is different to just replace sky as it is now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't until I actually got that that really good control with Photoshop and digital, that I thought that I was becoming more creative. And up until then, I was doing competent landscape work that luckily was commercial and allowed me to create a business around it.
And the connection with the landscape and your work, where did that sort of come from? Was it taking shots of the local area, or were you keen to get out and see the world with it?
Yeah, no, I started photography when I moved down south, down to Dunsborough. So up until then I was in Perth, and I didn't find much in Perth that I wanted to photograph, and I wanted to be a landscape photographer. So when I got into the whole landscape thing, and the environment, because I moved down south, it's so beautiful. And I'd just done a big trip around Australia with my brother and his wife, who was his girlfriend at the time, and saw a lot of stuff in a lot of places, a lot of national parks and all that. And I just loved that. I realized that I wasn't a city boy. I was more of a country boy. I had more of the country in me than I thought. And when we got to Dunsborough, we realized that, hey, this is actually a really nice town in comparison to what we'd seen everywhere else in Australia. And it had ticked all the boxes. That's when I started to get a bit more of a love for being outdoors, being in an environment. I surfed all my life. I was right into surfing when I was younger and did a lot of that. In fact, surfing is what got me into photography, because I had a surfing accident and cut my leg and I couldn't go in the water. So I picked up the camera thinking that might entertain me while I was on holidays. And it did. And it gave me that little spark. So I can thank surfing for that. But then it wasn't until I came down and started to spend more time out in the landscape that I realized that it became a bit of a meditation. I come from a pretty highly strung family, a bunch of warriors, service-ridden family. We all suffer from it a bit in my family. It's part of who we are. So to get out into the wilds on my own was actually really good for me. And I always loved it. And I loved that isolation and just having those moments. And I was lucky I've had so many good moments where I've just witnessed beautiful scenes, beautiful landscapes, beautiful light, and moments that just happen randomly and spontaneously and that you can't plan for. So I've had all these experiences over so many years, so many on my own. I haven't shared them with anyone. I shared them by putting the photos out for sale and whatever in my gallery or on social media. But I've had all those beautiful moments to myself, and it's been great. And I still love it. I still find that that's my meditation, to get out. And you yourself, you get out, you get to a location, and if you're on your own and you don't have time limit or any other constraints, you get right into it. You just start looking and you're trying to find a composition or something that's extraordinary, the chaos or the beauty of what's around you. And that is just fulfilling. And I think that's the reward I think most landscape photographers revel in, is that sense of being in a remarkable location with a remarkable light and knowing that you put yourself out there, and you've by doing that you get the rewards, and you often wonder, why isn't there no one else out here doing this? I mean, it might be different in some. I'm sure if you go to America and you go to Arches National Park, you will see plenty of people taking photos. There's a lot of places in Australia where you can get stuff on your own, and
I've got to agree that moment when you just look around and you go, okay, I'm literally the only person here. There isn't even a rock fisherman, which is my usual company. It's either rock fishermen or early morning bathers in the pools around Sydney. And they're the only people I ever see most of the time. Occasionally you'll see another photographer.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that when you've finished and you've done everything you want to do, you've been there for an hour or two, everyone starts coming down, and that's when you're going home. And that's what I like about landscape photography, is that people that aren't into landscapes will go to a location like Karajini National Park. They won't get up for the sunrise. They'll sleep in, they'll have breakfast, and then they'll go into the gorges, which is fantastic, because you get up, first one in there, you get all the shots, you get it all to yourself. It's the best time of the day. And then when you've finished and you're done, everyone's coming in and you're going out. So yeah, people miss it. And I say to my wife sometimes, man, I've seen so many cool sunsets. You've just missed, you just need to come and just do whatever. You just got to see these things, because
it's one of the reasons why I like sharing those moments as well online or wherever, is that you're there seeing things that many people don't see, because most of them are still in bed first thing in the morning. Or what is it about those moments, I guess, that makes you want to share them with the world?
Money. That's not all about money. I really enjoy creating stuff. So and I'm working on two new exhibitions, 3 books at the moment. My wife's cracking the whip, and so my whole job at the moment is sitting in my office and editing photos and coming up with new stuff, better stuff of this area, that area, whatever. And I just love creating it. And I literally can make images and they'll sit on my hard drive. And it's not until the girls tell me, have you got anything of this page? Oh, yeah, I got one I was working on last month. I'll see if I can find it. So I'm literally a bit of a junkie when it comes to that. So I just like creating.
Sounds like projects are a big part of what you do. Is that true? And how important is it for you to have projects to work on?
Oh yeah, I do have projects, and they're usually ones that my wife sets for me. So Christian, you need this. But yeah, they're important. I think it's a great way to work on a body of work or an idea. I never do anything. I haven't done many projects that are like truly remarkable or unique. I like my urban stuff, so I'll get out and do a lot of that. Whether you call that a project or whether it's just a style, but I go through phases, and like we all do. You get bored with one style and you move on to the next. And I like to think that my work's a bit diverse and I've got a lot of different styles. I don't think my work looks like my work, although some people say, I can see Christian Fletcher anywhere. And I'm going, really? I didn't think it was like that. Some of my urban stuff, yes, I think there's probably a stylistic aesthetic that I apply to each one.
Yeah.
But my landscape work and aerials especially, they can be quite... I find them saying that. I guess there are photographers that I admire and I look at their work and I go, oh yes, that's definitely theirs.
Yeah.
Color they might use or a certain vignette or whatever and a certain way of editing. So maybe I've got that as well, but I just don't see it.
I sometimes ask people what they feel their style is, and you're saying you don't really have one.
Yeah. No. It's lots of different things, I think.
Yeah.
And I have ideas and thoughts, and I'm into trees at the moment, and I want to do the shots that look like an old painting, small paint like the Heidelberg artists, that kind of real Australian. You can imagine a swag man sitting under a tree with a bee boiling, that sort of Australian sort of kind of vibe. That interests me. But then, like I said, I like the urban stuff, but then I like just my standard beautiful, there's a nice beautiful beach sort of photo as well. And but I like taking photos of airplanes and I want to do more black and white. Yeah, there's always something to do. But projects would probably need to do some more projects. Focus on something, go after it. There's certain photographers that you see and they do that. They work on a subject and that's their thing and they're so good at it, and it's always remarkable when you see their new work. It's like, man, they've come out with another good one of that same theme, but it's just still amazing. And I get it. I don't focus hard enough on one thing. My wife calls me the monthly man. So I get an idea and then after a month, I'm like, that's boring. Let's go. Move on to the next thing.
Move on, yeah. I've got to admit, I don't have a problem with that. It's something that I occasionally do myself, but I think having that, if you like, an eclectic view of it, of saying, okay, I'm not going to be constrained to one particular genre, or even I'm not going to just do black and white, or I'm not going to do just sunrises or whatever. I'm going to have a range. I think that range in itself can also bring about a style of its own. I certainly look at some of your work and I can go, yeah, that's definitely a Christian Fletcher. And there's others where you go, okay, as you say, some of the aerial stuff, it could be Christian or it could be somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think that ability to swap and change keeps things fresh for one thing, but I think helps you find what it is about those particular genres or those particular subjects and focus in on those pieces. To that end, I guess I'm interested in how where you live and what you shoot has shaped how you shoot.
Yeah, in some respects, got quite a remarkable coastline down here. So initially it was all coastal stuff that I'd do. And we've got 2 sides of our coast. We've got like a peninsula or a cape. And so I can go on either side depending on which way what the weather's doing. And sunrise on the western side of the cape is probably sunset in the eastern states. It comes up over the land, but then I can go over to the eastern side of the cape and it's expect. Actually, no, hang on. Yeah, so sunsets over land, sunrise. So sunrise, I can get a sunrise like you guys have there in the Middle East.
over the sea and
Yeah. Anyway,
sunset.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm confusing myself.
You get the sunsets we can't get, because you can go out on Sydney Heads or Botany Bay or whatever and shoot back across the harbour or the bay, but it's still not quite the same seeing that horizon and the sun disappearing behind it.
Yeah, but we've got forests, we've got beautiful beaches. They were a focus initially, and not much urban stuff. When I started, I didn't even think about that sort of style of work, and wasn't until 20 that I even started thinking about that sort of urban aesthetic. The other thing is winters down here in the southwest, we get, it's usually wet, autumn can be a bit long, but I got into fog and realizing that, oh man, there's some great atmospherics with fog and mists. So I've spent a lot of time in the last 5 years just chasing fog in the winter.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that every year when it gets really cold, and then also it rains a lot, and then it gets really cold and it clears up, and I just know there's going to be fog down inland around Nannup and Darling Up and all that.
Yeah, nice.
So I'll get up at 4 a.m. and drive down. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the best stuff, and so it's a bit of a morning out, but I always love that. So yeah, that shaped what I do there, and yeah, it's pretty much nature based down this way. Now, if I was living in Perth, I would probably spend more time. I would do more urban stuff because there's more of that. There's more of those little things, the little corner shops and back alleys and skip bins and whatever else you want to, all that stuff that some people go, why do you want to photograph that? That's so ordinary. But that's why I like it, because it is ordinary, and a nice shot out of something ordinary, it can be quite satisfying.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few photographers about doing those sorts of images. One of the things that I really love looking at is historical photos of those those street photos of Sydney in the 1930s or Melbourne or Perth or wherever it is, and then comparing, I can actually line up and see exactly that same scene now with all the skyscrapers and everything that weren't there in the 20s and 30s. And, I think documenting that, if nothing else, is actually an important thing that you can do, and something that a lot of photographers forget to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing I remember reading an interview with Stephen Shaw, and he was very well known for his sort of urban aesthetic in America, and people saying, why do your shots have such a sense of nostalgia? Because they weren't nostalgic when I was photographing them. They just are now, because that was 50 years ago, whatever it was. And because he would get these beautiful car yards with all these brand new cars, but they're all old classics now. And you just look at it and go, wow, look at that. And there was definitely a style and look, the color of the film that he was using and all that. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely. We should. So I started thinking about that again. Okay, if I go down to somewhere, if I find a small town with a beautiful old building, but there's a bloody Holden Commodore parked in front of it, I should shoot it anyway, because in 50 years' time, that car's gonna look cool.
They're gonna be rare.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They're probably rare now, are they?
Just about.
So yeah, it made me think, okay, you think about that like Stephen Shaw would. Just photograph anything, worry about what it looks like today, even if it's modern, because in 50 years' time, it won't be modern anymore. It'll be fancy and it'll be cool, and the kids will love it. It's,
exactly.
That aesthetic, they love that all that old retro stuff. So.
In terms of conceptualizing or pre-visualizing before you go out and shoot, is that something you do, or are you more spontaneous and it's okay, there's going to be fog, so I'll go there. I'm not sure what I'm going to shoot before I get there, or have you got something in mind before you leave?
Yeah, look, I'm more reactive than anything. I do think about where I'm going to shoot, obviously, what I hope to get, but I generally go there and I don't go, I'm going to go to that location. I'll just get up and drive and just react to what's happening around me. Yeah, but then once I've got to a location and I start shooting, I know what I'm already thinking about what I can do to it in post to fix it or to make it better. So yeah, I do have a lot of thoughts about, okay, what I'm going to do with this shot.
Yeah, so you're already thinking about how you're going to process it while you're actually composing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going, okay, because sometimes you'll look at a shot and you're going for a composition, but there's just something in there that's annoying us. I've got this, I want this, the whole of the building, but there's the nose of this car's there and it's annoying. Yeah. Damn it, I can't get the angle. We just shoot it because you know that you can get that out in post. Just clone it out and do whatever you get rid of it. So I think about that sort of stuff. Yeah, knowing, so that's going to go. I'm going to shift that. I'm going to squish that a little bit and move that. I'm going to change that color to whatever. I'm going to put a new sky in. I'm going to make it the whole aesthetic really bright, or I'm going to make it really dark. Yeah, I go through all my little tricks. So I sit down once I had these thoughts, and then I'll get in front of the computer and I'll throw my tricks at what I think I had in mind to see if it works. And sometimes I'll stick and sometimes I won't. And then if it doesn't work, my images will go much lighter and more cartoony, or darker and more grungy. And very rarely are they in between where it's just a pleasing shot. I always, if I'm not doing some work in post, I'm going, this shot's not working. And I hate it when I get a photo that's perfect straight up, because I don't know what to do. I look at it and go, damn it, there's got to be something I have to do with this, because I've got to be able to change something. This is not right. It's not working.
Yeah. There's something I can tweak, but
yeah. But yeah, I do have an idea a lot of the time what I'm going to do. Not necessarily, not on the way out to the shoot, but definitely once I'm there. And I think most people react to what's happening around them. And I'm really quick. I'm a really quick photographer. Tony Hewitt always talks about, we go to the beach and Christian's here and he's there and he's over there, and I'm still getting my camera out of the bag. And I don't waste too much time in one location.
Yeah.
If I got the shot, let's move on to the next one. So
you're working mostly handheld?
Yeah, these days, shooting with the Leica, which a shameless plug. Here's my new SL3 Leica. It's very pretty, very beautiful. And with all the modern cameras these days, with the image stabilization and stuff, you need a tripod these days. I can hand hold that down to half a second. So if I want to,
that's pretty good, half a second.
Yeah. I got to be a little bit careful, but I'll just almost give it away now. Saying that, I still, another shameless plug, I had this beautiful little Leo photo tripod with this geared head, and I've never had one of these before, but these things are amazing for just leveling, getting your horizon straight. I suffer from that. But a nice little tripod, it's all waterproof and all that. And it's good because it's light, and it's not, you get some of those big Gitsos and they're awesome, but they're just so big and heavy.
Yeah, so cumbersome to move around.
I just want something that's going to get me out of the poo if I can. So I just go for something light and easy, and that usually keeps me happy. Yeah,
fair enough.
But I like shooting handheld because you don't have any restrictions to your creativity. I think it's much better.
You find that doing that now, you experimenting more with your photography than you used to when you were doing a lot of tripod work?
Yeah, I would say so. Yep. I would definitely, I definitely getting more shots. And my favorite thing to do is obviously get in the car and just go and do urban stuff and drive around with the window down. And that's, I go out and I get so many shots doing that, and it's just fun. You don't have to, you just got your music on, in your car, you're comfortable, you got your camera on your lap or next to you. You find a spot, you just slow down, you wind the window down, move the car back and forwards, and point the camera and shoot, and then move on to the next one. You can go all day doing that. Some of my best stuff's shot that way. It's pretty lazy. It's terrible. And people, I don't know, the general public would like that too much. Anyone that was buying a picture, I think a lot of people buying your stuff like to think that you spent
days. Care about the effort you've gone to.
Yeah, I got no effort at all, because to me, it's like, is the shot good? Yes, it's good. Does it matter if I didn't bust my balls to get it, really?
Yeah.
That's not always the case. I have busted my balls over the years. 34 years, there's going to be some stage you're going to have to walk up a hill and
definitely,
and get wet or whatever, or get muddy shoes. There's got to be some hardship, but I'm not one for caring too much about all the hardships these days. I'm going to be 60 next year. I'm almost at retirement age. I let a young crew do that, and they can have it. I'm done.
So with that experimentation, obviously that indicates that there's going to, experimentation by its very nature means there's going to be failure, if you want to call it that, or mistakes made, or things that you don't quite nail. How do you deal with that? Is that something you just say, whatever, it's just part of the process? Or are you, I guess, conscious of it and therefore more careful?
It gets me down. Things don't work. And how often do you look on the back of your camera and go, these shots are really good, these look really
awesome. Get them home and they're rubbish. I've done that.
You put them on the computer and go, what happened? What happened? It looks so amazing. And now it's, and I think some shots, sometimes and whenever I'm working an image on my computer, I always make sure I look at it all sizes, and I will reduce it down to a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And just to see how it makes me feel. And Les Walking is one that says that every print has a size that's it's best at.
Yeah.
And sometimes certain images look better big. Sometimes they don't look good big. Sometimes they look good on canvas. Sometimes it's nice to have them with a white border. And there's all those sort of choices when it comes to printing as well. So yeah, there's a few things to think about with all that.
Yeah, fair enough. You had your own podcast for a while, so obviously communication's an important thing for you. How important do you see communication in terms of your success as a photographer?
Pretty important, because like when I first started, I spent the first 15 years on my own, being quite isolated. I was in the Southwest and I didn't even know what the AIPP was. It's obviously different now. It's gone. But back in the day, it wasn't until I joined the AIPP that I realized where I stood in the industry, and I realized I had a long way to go. I saw the best people doing the best work, and it really made me lift my game, because I had nothing to no benchmarks. Be able to talk to other photographers, to see what they're doing, to be part of a community was great for me. It really helped me develop my work and my style and the quality of my work, because without knowing what's good and bad, you can just go on doing the same old stuff. But I really got to see, and some of my best friends are some of the best photographers in the country, and through some of the people I've met through the podcast are friends now, and they're the best photographers in the world, some of these guys, and it's nice to have that kind of community. Saying that, I still like my time on my own in my isolation. Invariably, most times I like to shoot on my own anyway, unless it's somewhere that's a bit sketchy and you feel like you want some security. And
you need more than just an EP.
Yeah, that's right. But it is nice sharing it with a mate as well, going out on a shoot or a group and catching up. But when you get to a location, it's every man for themselves. You just go off in your directions and you find what it is you think you can get out of that landscape or that location. I never really liked standing next to somebody and shooting.
What amazes me, though, is when you do stand next to somebody and you look at their stuff on the back of the camera or on a computer a bit later, and you go, where did you see that? I was standing right next to you. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I know.
They're doing the same to your shot.
I know. Well, and when we had our ND5 group going, that was a lot like that. And we would all go out. There would be 4 of us and my brother, who was the video guy. And then we would all go shooting the same locations, and invariably we'd end up standing on the same hills together, pointing our camera at the same. And what became the difference was a little bit about lens choice and height or angle or whatever.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference was in the post-production.
Yeah.
How we all edited our photos. And you could really see the different styles. And that was when you saw the same image, because we had this one shoot that we were all together, and there was this massive storm, this beautiful thunderstorm in the middle of the day. It was stinging hot. It was 47 degrees. And this thing was just sucking all the air and all the moisture up, and that formed this huge cloud that was just dumping rain. And it was creating dust storms in front of it. It was just incredible. Lightning was starting fires in the ground in front of us. And it was just remarkable. And we all got exactly the same shots, but they were all edited
very differently.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so I think that's where, if you all go out together and you take the photos and you don't do any editing, all your photos will probably look mostly the same. They'll have a similar. They'll be the
you're leaving it up to the camera manufacturer.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation very like this with somebody the other day, and they said basically you're leaving it up to somebody that had to make a bunch of compromises to fit it in that little box, and those compromises might not be what your artistic choices need to be to actually make it a great image.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. That's why I think post-production is so important to your style. And that's the only thing really that can really make your style what it is, unless you elaborate with your setup and your sets. If you use models or you have props or whatever, or particular colors that you use, then that can become your style. But invariably, if you're shooting landscapes, it comes down to your post-production. And that, I think that's the fun part anyway. It's just as much fun sitting in front of your computer editing as it is being out there, personally. That's my opinion. Some people go, no, I hate being in front of the computer, but I love it. It's like being a painter and being in front of the easel with your canvas and mixing paint and going, okay, how's this going to get? It's a little bit different, but it's similar. It's that part of the creative process that, as photographers, we should all embrace. And I think every photographer does some editing. They'll use Lightroom without a doubt. I don't think anyone's doing any work and not using Lightroom or Camera Raw or Capture One or whatever else.
Yep.
So there's always that element. But I just think you can really bring your vision out with some cool post-production.
Yeah, definitely. What does success look like for you in photography?
Initially, my first time I felt successful was getting my first image published in a magazine. It was in Trax magazine, which is a surfing magazine. It was black and white back in those days, and it was black and white image of some product if I did for them. And I was like, man, I got my name in the magazine. This is so cool. And then other things, I think that one of my proud moments was winning the landscape category in the AIP Awards at the APAs at 1 year. Can't remember what year it was. Oh, actually, my first gold in there, and the APAs was nice. And then I won 1 year and some other things. And so that was nice. Another one that I felt good about was when I was at the APAs 1 year, and I was talking to one of the guys at one of the wholesalers back in the day. And he was showing me the phase 1 cameras.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to give me any time. He just thought, he's not going to buy a phase 1. They're bloody expensive. He hardly knows anything. And anyway, I was there talking to this guy, and Peter Eastway walks up, and I said, oh, yeah, Peter Eastway. He goes, oh, yeah, who are you? I said, I'm Christian Fletcher. Oh, Christian, I want to talk to you. I want to interview you for my magazine. And I just went, oh my God. I had stars in my eyes, and met Peter Eastway, and he wanted to talk to me, and that was really cool. I thought that was a moment where I felt, oh yeah, that's success.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously selling my work, starting up my first gallery and doing it very slowly. I've had galleries for 24 years, and this one was very, very basic. It was literally one wall in a framing shop, and I just kept putting more money and time back into it, eventually taking over the whole front of the shop, and that was my first gallery. But it was all done so basic. So that was success. And then setting up, eventually having 4 galleries going at once was 15 staff, and became a bit of an enterprise. And I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty successful. And probably the biggest thing is being in the industry for so long and not going broke. Because I had so many opportunities to go broke for so many times. And the first 10 years were tough. It's hard, make a living and having to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs to try and make money to buy film and keep the business going. So I could have given up so many times, really could have. So I think that the biggest satisfaction I feel is that it's been a 34-year career, and I don't think it'll ever end now. And I don't think we can ever not have a gallery and not sell pictures, because it's just got to that level where we've been around long enough that people know us. We have repeat customers. And people come to the gallery every year. They say, we just have to come to the gallery every year just to see the work because it's so beautiful. And that's nice, But if you've got a gallery of your work and people will say something nice about it, or they stand there in front of it and they're crying, they've got tears in their eyes and they're emotional because of it, that's freaking cool. You don't need them to buy it when they do that. You go, okay, I've touched someone with a photo. How does that happen? That's a nice feeling.
It's a definite win.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The fact that the person was mentally unstable and cried because they're depressed anyway it's not like that. You get people that some people are connected to the work. They do find that it speaks to them in some way. Some people, especially when it comes to some beautiful nature, that everyone's got different agendas, different things going on in their lives.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about running the business and what you've learned out of being in that part of the business, running galleries for so long. What's the main thing that you've learned, and what tips could you give to somebody that is just starting to think about it now?
Yeah. There's so many things that I've learned over the years, and the things I see now that it just seems like it's no brainer. It's pretty straightforward. It's the basic rules of sales. I've never been considered for myself as a salesperson, but I know that with sales, you got to do everything you can to give the customer what they want when they want it, which means sucking up a few things, going the extra mile, deliver it by hands to 300 kilometers away, or like in some instances I've gone. It was the most ridiculous one. There was not super ridiculous, but if someone says, I live in Albany, I don't know how I'm going to get the picture down to you, I'll just say, man, I'm coming. Chuck in the van because it's an excuse to go shooting. I've done that quite often, where I'll go up to some little wheat belt town and drop this thing off, just because I think, I'll get some shots along the way.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to go for a shoot too.
Yeah, and they love it. You take it to the house, you go in, they say, this is where we're going to put it. So it's all about that service. And after doing it for so long, we still do that. I'm still doing deliveries now. My son's taken over mostly, but he's away at the moment. So I've gone back to doing the deliveries once a week. I'll just load the van up and off I go. I turn up on these people's doors and knock on the door and say, hello, I'm Christian Fletcher. Oh, you're Christian. Oh, I can't believe it's so wonderful. Because I think just some career guys coming on. And sometimes I've actually sold more work because of it. So the first thing is treat your customers with respect. Don't expect, never assume that they can't afford your or your work's too expensive, because one of the things I found with pricing your work is we think about what we can afford.
Yeah.
I look at a piece of art and go, man, I can afford maybe $2,000 or $3,000 on that, but geez, I'm not spending $10,000 on that.
Yeah.
And that's what we think about with our own work and pricing it. Oh man. And when I first started putting my prices up and doing my one-on-ones and things were getting high, I was going, oh, who's going to buy this? Because I was thinking about what I can afford.
Yep.
And I'm nobody compared to the money that's out there. So that's not really a business. That's kind of part of business. But the thing about business that I found is you can't do it on your own. And I did it on my own for a long time, but I never did it well.
Yeah.
And as an artist, you've got to back yourself. You've got to be prepared to take some risks. You've got to be prepared to work hard. I've done a 7-day-a-week business for 24 years.
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing 7 days at the moment, but I did the last 7 years. My wife and I, we were doing 7 days. And it is, I guess it is, you could say it's 7 days a week because we work every day. If there's something that we're answering emails or we're doing whatever, or I'm taking photos. So it really is. You got to have that commitment. You got to have that desire. You got to want to be successful. And I don't think it's impossible to be successful. I think anyone can do it if they try. But I think one of the things too is that you need to know that you've got to be honest with your work and yourself. And if you think that the work you're doing now is the best it's ever been and the best you've ever seen, I don't think you're progressed enough. You've got to be critical. You got to be able to accept if things aren't selling, there's got to be a reason for it. And I still have problems today. I put an image into the gallery and I love it. Sit there and it might not have sold for 3 years. And my wife's going, it's going. And I'm going, no, you can't. This is one of the best pieces I've ever made. Sorry, no one likes it. It's out. You got to have someone that's going to be able to throw this shit out.
It brings me to another question is how do you balance that sort of creative vision and your artistic integrity, if you like, with commercial reality?
Yeah, we just have two images, one for you, one for the shop. And I do that and I'm out shooting and I'll go, oh, this one's for me or this one's for the gallery.
Yeah, right.
And I know what people will get and what they'll buy. But there's other things that if you got a gallery, like we got a gallery, when we had our small gallery, it was successful, but it was never, it wasn't going great guns because people walk in and they can walk around the walls and go, oh, okay, seen that, nothing they like, and they're out.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got our bigger gallery in Dunsborough where it was 2-story, big space, lots of little places for people to hide. We could display really big work, really large scale work. That things become interesting because people would come in and go, okay, this is a serious place. It's not just
they spend some time there.
Yeah, and they'll spend a bit of time. And they can go upstairs and they can get away from us. We're never hard sales. We're never in their face. We're never desperate for a sale. We don't come across as desperate. I say to my girls, don't pester the customer. Just make sure they know that you're there and that you're there to help them if they need anything. If they look like they're choosing and they can't decide on something, then step in and go, oh, can I help you with something? What are you looking for? What's your ideas? What's your thoughts? And you don't ever make them feel obligated. That's my opinion. I'm sure someone who's really good at sales will say, man, you're such a loser. They have to buy now. And I think that's fine, but I don't know if there's any longevity in that because we want people to go away. And even if they don't buy anything, we want them to go away going, they were nice people. That's a great place. I'm coming back. And the next time we have the money to buy something, we're going to buy something from them because we like those people.
It's a two-way street. You've got to feel good about the transaction other than just the money as well, I think.
Absolutely. I always refer to, I used to have a video library back in my earlier days.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my sales reps ended up becoming a good mate. He was so good at coming in, and like any salesman, he'd come in and he'd have all the new releases, so the movies that are coming out. And he would never talk about the movies. He'd say, oh, this is our catalogue, this is stuff. And then he'd go, oh, and he'd look at the speakers I had in our video shop. Oh, I like those speakers. I got some of those. I'm running a hi-fi. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I love hi-fi. And we became mates. He would come in, and eventually he would come in and we would say, what do we need to order? You tell us what we need to buy. We trust you. And that's what happens with us. In our gallery now, we have people that will put their trust in us, say that, well, what do you think? Any ideas? How can you help us? We got these walls. We don't know what to do. So we're always helping them out. So it's almost become like an interior decorator.
Yeah.
But things need to be labelled well. They need to be displayed well. It needs to be lit. The place needs to be clean and tidy. I remember going to a very famous photographer's gallery once time in Noosa, and there was lights out and there's globes missing. And
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm going, it's, you really need to change those.
Well, it looks like you don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at that stage, that guy didn't care too much because he was setting up everywhere else. So it's really basic. You put your best work on display. You make the gallery interesting. You make people not fear it. Some people fear going into gallery, and like I said, people come in the gallery, and it's usually the men. The men, like, they're with the wives, and the men are like holding back, and they're just not. They're not interested. They don't want their wife to buy anything. They don't want to spend any money on bloody art. Geez, I need some new floor mats for the bloody Ranger. And which I completely understand and I agree with. But yeah, so you just make them feel good. That's the biggest thing I think you can do in business, is make people want to buy your work because they like who you are, and what your business is and what they stand for. We do a lot of stuff in the community, so we've always donated things and got involved with the community stuff. We like offer prizes for the sculptures. We host events in the gallery, and we get behind things that are happening that are important to our community. So you get to look after the locals as well. Probably easier to do in a small town than a big city. Even these suburbs have these communities and stuff. But there's just, I don't know, it's not rocket science. And I see people that go broke, and sometimes I understand why they do, because they're not in it for the customer. They think they're going to just go gangbusters, and then they can't understand why things aren't working. It's because they're not.
And why it takes so long to get that momentum as well, because that momentum doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. Oh, it takes ages. Yeah, man. Years and years of just scraping by. And we have lean weeks, we have good weeks. And in the gallery now, we've only got one gallery. The GFC came and sorted a few things out for us and made it really difficult to be really successful, because all the money just disappeared, like just went out the door. And it's come back since then, obviously. It made us realize that we only need the one gallery, and it needs to be done right.
Yeah.
Look, we could probably set up a gallery in some other really cool towns, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do extra work. I don't want to have more staff and more headaches, and to make how much more, I don't know. You may just end up.
You might not double your money. You might not double your money.
No, that's right. And I don't need to double my money. I'm happy with what I got. I'm not a millionaire, and I don't think I'll ever will be a millionaire, but I do all the things I want to do. If I want to do something, I don't hold back. Just put the new SL3. Beautiful thing. I got 3 Leicas now, and that's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, that's doing okay.
Yes, that's good. But you got to spend your money on your business and invest back in that sort of stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's all important.
One of the things you mentioned was pricing your work. A lot of people struggle with that. Have you settled on a formula, or is it something that's a little bit more esoteric?
It's just gone up every year. So I remember we went years and years without putting our prices up. And we're going, oh man. Yeah. But we've always just started out low, and then over the years gotten higher, and then we've gone into more limited editions, and they go up. And I think our work's priced pretty well. It's a good price. I don't think it's overly priced. It's not cheap. I feel like that the quality that we put out is really good, and it's it's a product that lasts for lifetime. Although that wasn't the case in the past when we weren't printing ourselves. So back in the good old days of chemicals, 20 years on, there's stuff that's faded. But we honor those things. And so someone will come in and say, oh, I bought this picture 20 years ago and it's all faded. Really, you go by TV. If it's dead after 5 years, you never complain about it. You don't go back to the manufacturer and say, oh,
no, that's right.
My TV only lasts 5 years. Can I get a new one?
You're lucky to get a 6-month warranty now.
Yeah, that's right. So we replace all those. We redo those. They're for free. So if someone says, we've got this print and it's faded, no problems. We'll print you a new one. And that's goodwill. And I think that's important to do that sort of thing. So yeah, it comes down to treating your customers right. And working on the quality and maintaining the level of quality and obviously satisfaction from the clients.
What's your most memorable?
Oh, sorry, but it was about pricing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I got a little bit sidetracked there. So yeah, I thought it wasn't until recently a guy said to me, oh, look, Christian, I've just come in. He's got a gallery over in America, and he's just about to set up a second one. A guy named David Beavis, and he's a really lovely guy, super lovely guy. I met him a while back, and anyway, he came and said, Christian, you're one of ones of, man, that's just too cheap. He goes, oh, I've just sold a one of one. It was a big piece, but it was a one of one, and it was, I can't remember how much he sold it for. It was, crazy money. I can't remember if it was like $17,000 US
Wow.
or 30 or 70,000 US. It was like, I'm just going, really? And he said, yeah. People will respect that. If you put your price up, don't be scared.
Don't undersell
It's
yourself.
worth it. So we did. We started putting our prices up, and things would go up to 5, 6, 7, 8 grand, and we found that we were still selling them because what we were doing is that we were catering for our market, people like us that can afford, but we were forgetting the people that wanted something exclusive and had all the money in the world. It's like, it's cheap for them. They can come and buy 10 of my pieces, one of ones for 80 grand, or they can go buy one beautiful art painting from one guy for 80 grand, and they've still got 7 holes in the wall. So there's that side of it. So you just got to understand that there are people out there with money and they want something exclusive. And if it's beautiful enough, someone will want it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm struggling to find those people with 70, 80 grand.
Yeah. You go to my website, and if you go to my one-of-one sections and just scroll through towards the bottom, they're all the ones that have sold out. And there's been quite a few.
Okay.
And they still sell them. I would love to do all one-of-ones. Everything I did to be a one-of-one.
One-of-one, yeah.
It'd be nice to do that, but the reality is that I'd be too busy, or I wouldn't sell enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, juggling act. You put the price up there, and if they keep selling, then next year have price increase and just keep testing the water. There was some funny little statement, some little saying that someone said to me once, but I can't remember what it was. But it was about basically giving the price to the client and seeing what their reaction is. And if they don't bleat, then you haven't gone high enough, or
you haven't asked for enough.
What?
Yeah. What's your most memorable photography experience?
Oh no, there's a lot of them. Gee, I don't know. Phase 1 once, and I was in.
That'd be memorable.
Yeah, that wasn't a great day. But the worst thing about that is that we were on a boat cruise, and I took off with my mate to take photos, and I didn't tell my wife. We just basically got off the boat, got on a tender, went to this island, started taking photos, and she ended up coming over on the next boat, and she was so dirty at me because I didn't. And that was the same time I dropped my camera.
Ouch.
And the only thing that got me off the hook with my wife was that I just dropped my $70,000 phase 1 onto the sand and broke it and got a wave washed over it. So it got covered in sand, came up looking like a lamington. It was like quite distressing, but I was more worried about upsetting my wife than the camera. so that was definitely memorable. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's so many things, from going to Antarctica to seeing the aurora for the first time, to flying in the helicopters with doors off over Honolulu, and having it landing there and having it all to ourselves, no other people, no footprints, nothing.
Yeah.
Being out, camping out under the stars on the way out to Riddle River National Park, and seeing the space shuttle and the International Space Station about to dock as they flew over as 2 little stars. That's memorable. Yeah, my first trip with ND5 with Pete Eastway and Les Walking and Tony Hewitt, my brother, being all together, not knowing those guys very well, and then all becoming friends. First awards that I won, first time seeing things, first trip to Iceland, first trip to Norway. Man, I don't know. Yeah, lots. I should think about it more and write them down, because there were so many experiences I had.
Definitely, yeah.
It was just remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable stuff.
Have you ever had a situation where you're just not feeling it? You've had creative blocks, and if so, how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I have them all the time. Every freaking day. I get it. I sit in front of, you know what? I've done something recently which is interesting. I do a bit of exercise because I like to stay fit. So I ride a lot, and I find that doing a lot of exercise and hard exercise, real heavy, like fast bike riding and all that sort of stuff, that gets me in a good frame for editing and getting ready for work. And then what I've just done recently is started meditating. And one of the things I do, it's just like a 10-minute meditation in the morning. So I'll go for a walk or ride. I'll come home and I'll go sit out in the sun, somewhere comfortable, and I'll start meditating about I'm not very good at it, but focusing on my breath and that. But then this one I do, it talks about affirmations and what you're grateful for and stuff. But then also, what do you want to get out of the day? And right. And these affirmations that you just say, you just repeat, and while you're doing this meditation, only for 10 minutes a day. And I without a lie, I do that, and I sit in front of the computer and I come up with a whole bunch of stuff. So much better. So it might just be luck. It might have just opened the right folder of images, but I don't know, maybe there's something in that, having your mind in a clearer space where you can avoid all that. I try not to look at my emails first thing or any messages. And I apologize to anyone that might be listening to this that's never ever got a reply from me from social media or email or whatever. That stuff really, it's not that I don't want to, it just escapes me. I see the message and I go, oh man, I got to get back to that one. And then by the end of the day, I've forgotten. And then by the end of the week, it's, oh man, that's almost too late to reply now. And then it's done. And I've got to that point now where, that contact, I don't know, it takes a little bit of you, I think, sometimes I don't know how these people can actually do it. And they'd like to respond and reply to every message and post. And it's like, and I've just become really, and I used to be right into that. I was really trying to broaden my audience and gain followers, the moment where I realized that social media wasn't really doing that much for me in my business was when I had a photo that was on Facebook and they had 250,000 interactions or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like 700 comments. It's just stuff that's way beyond anything that's ever happened for me before, because my small amounts. And of all those comments, not one person said, they're all saying, I love the photo, it's amazing, oh, it's fantastic. Not one person said, I want to buy it. How can I buy it? Not one.
Right.
Of all those interactions, I thought Facebook, Instagram, what a crock. It doesn't. It might make a difference for some people. Maybe being an influencer back in the day might have been important.
Yeah, I think you're right. The time of that's probably past.
Yeah. And now people watch videos, and I'm not interested in doing videos, and I don't care. I don't need to talk to people, my settings or whatever anymore. I used to think I wanted to do all that, but now no, that's, you know what, my customers, people that buy my work, they don't look.
They're not there.
They'll come into the gallery. People find us because they walk past the gallery and go, oh, let's go in and have a look, see what that's all about. And then that's when they become customers, not because they've gone on to Instagram and saw a photo of mine. There probably is some of that. And there has been people that will send me a message saying, oh, I love this photo. How can I get it? I want to buy a copy. And so, dude, go to my website. Don't leave a message on Instagram because I'm never going to see it.
Yeah.
And someone will say, oh, that's bad business, Fletch. You should be looking at it and you should be replying, right? I don't want to. It's like, but I used to be the biggest self-promoter, and I was into building communities and talking to everybody and wanting to get likes and pats on the back and all that. And as I've gotten older, I've just gone, that drains me. It doesn't actually fill me up with joy anymore. I used to really enjoy the interactions, and now it doesn't.
Yeah. I'm interested in where you see photography's place in society and how that's changed since you started from where you were 30 years ago to now.
Yeah, different now. And that back in the past, it was more, I think it was a bit more revered. As a professional photographer, you were more revered in the past because it was a specialized thing. And to get a good photo in the old days was quite difficult, and you had to really have some skills. And I never had any. I really felt like I was compromised in my knowledge. I felt like I was just fudging it the whole time. And I was. And to go forward to now, when there's digital cameras and there's instant feedback, it's easier to get a much better photo. You're more relaxed, you can work better, it's more efficient, the quality is better. So all that stuff is true and it's great. More people can do it, it's accessible, but the cream still rises to the top. So I think a good photographer, even with all that technology, will just rise even higher above everyone else. It's made the photography a bit more of a level playing field, but saying that, it's also because it's made it more accessible, there's more people doing it and there's more competition. In that respect, I feel sorry for people now having to compete with everything else that's going on and everyone else that's doing it. Back in my day, literally, I was in Dunsborough and I was the only photographer. I could have had as much work as I wanted to because no one else was doing it. Oh, okay, get Fletch. And I'm going, I don't know if I want to do another wedding. I only did 40 weddings, but it just about killed me. It's terrible. But I still think photography is relevant, and we still sell as many pictures as we always have. And so that's not changed. I think it's become more popular, more accepted as a good art form. I don't feel so much like I'm the poor cousin anymore. The artists down in our area, there's lots of artists, painters and drawers and sculptors. And I don't feel like I can't compete with those guys anymore. I feel like what we do as photographers is just as relevant as any other art form. I think that's good. Is going to be an interesting, but saying that, I can pick an AI photo a million miles away, straight up. If it's something that's so amazing, you look at it and go, oh man, it's so amazing. And then you go, That's not real. That's AI. I can tell. I know it's not
Yeah,
possible.
there's certain tells there that are still present, I think.
Yeah, and I look, I don't know. I'm not going to say AI is the end of photography, but I'm not going to say that it's bad or I don't know what it is. I've tried it. I've worked with Midjourney and had a bit of a play. I got bored because
Yeah, I
I
was
didn't
much
feel like.
the same. I didn't get a great deal of creative satisfaction out of it.
No, I think what I think AI is good for, and this is what I've said to other people, is that it's good for generating ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you should go off and work those ideas in a more traditional sense. You don't have to. If you said, if you get, hey, got a creative block, get on Midjourney and think about what it is. I would love to see a picture of an old aeroplane sitting in a barn somewhere with really cool lighting and fog or mist or light rays coming through and an old guy with and just see what it comes up with. And then, okay, well, how can I recreate this in for real? And more so for artists, like if I was an artist and I was wanting to come up with content for an exhibition and I had a concept, I want to do an exhibition, but I want it to be on sea life, then you would just type in fantastic women sea creatures or whatever, and the next minute here comes all this stuff which is all completely unique and individual and interesting, and use that as your reference material to create your artwork, your paintings. I think there's nothing wrong with that, although my wife would say there is something wrong with that because you're not developing the ideas, the computer is. You're just copying. So I get that as well. I don't know, who knows. If it comes to that, it comes to a big screeching halt, it'll be, and it's the end of art and artistry. I'll probably be too far down the age track to worry. It's like, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm retiring, baby. Good luck, everybody.
There it is. What's the best and worst, or best or worst piece of advice anyone's given you?
One of the best things I was given was by an artist, a guy named Larry Mitchell, and he's a painter, pretty famous over here. Sells his stuff for around the $50,000 mark. He says, Christian, if you want to sell art, he says, make it big.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah. And if you look at the top art photographers in the world, all their pieces are massive, 2 by 3 meters. Guys like Murray Fredericks are doing the massive big prints, and Gursky, all these guys at Jeff Wall, they're making these massive big light boxes, and everything's big. You're not going to sell huge stuff. Some people buy really huge stuff.
Yeah. Well,
in a sense of the epic.
You got to find somewhere to hang it. That's the problem in most houses.
Yeah, exactly. But if you had a gallery that was limitless in size and you could make, and every print that you made was 2 meters by 3 meters, it would be unbelievably awesome. People would just be left gobsmacked at these scenes that you can immerse yourself into. So that was good advice. Yes, make it big. Tony Hewitt once said to me, Christian, what have you done? You cooked it. And that was good advice. And it basically mean I'd over-processed an image when I first entered the West Australian Professional Photography Awards. So that was good advice. Worst advice? No, I haven't had any really bad advice. I don't listen to it. I don't think my dad said to me, Christian, he said, when I was starting to get some level of success, he said, Christian, just be humble.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good advice.
Yeah, fantastic advice.
I could tend to blow my own trumpet a little bit sometimes. Not arrogant, but no. So he said, just be humble. And I think people appreciate that. And you get people that you can enter awards for so long and you can win. Imagine you were the best photographer in the world and no one could approach whatever you did.
Yep.
People would soon get pretty sick of you cleaning up, winning every award, every competition, getting all the prize money, getting all the accolades. Eventually you'll get to a point where it's like, oh shit, that guy won again. God, that's annoying. So it's a bit different to sport, tennis or something like that, where you get, although no, it's not completely different. There's some tennis players that I'm just using tennis because some tennis players over the years I haven't liked. I thought, no, they just seem like real wankers. They're just arrogant so-and-sos and they're bad-tempered or whatever. And then there's guys like Federer and what's the guy I used to really admire? The Aussie guy, such a lovely guy, Pat Rafter. He wasn't the best tennis player in the world. He was a great tennis player. But what a lovely guy. And he was humble. And when you see Federer win, he's always gracious and never loses his cool. They're the sort of guys that they can win all the time and you almost want them to win. You got to get that world record. But if you're an arsehole and you win everything, people are just going to hate you. That's a little bit of good advice. Win everything. If you're really that good, just let everyone else have a go.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I listened to Les Walking and he said to me, Christian, he talked about the appers and stuff. And I was right into it and I was getting really invested in my scores and getting silvers and bronzes and golds or whatever. And if I got a silver and I didn't get a gold, I'd be a little bit I used to get really pissed off, something.
Yeah.
Well, these guys don't know what they're talking about. They're wedding photographers. How can they judge it? And there's some Christian, how do you put a score on a photograph? It's moronic. And I went, shit, yeah, you're right. And I think that was the last time I entered the AIPP awards then, because I felt like I'd got dealt bad hand, which I didn't. It was just my arrogance thinking that I'd put in 4. Peter Eastway always says, I put in 4 golds, but they turn into silver as soon as the judges see them. It's like, what? And then I was really dirty. I remember this one particular, it was on PMA in Sydney, and I remember coming out from the judging, just going, F that. And I went out and walked over the Sydney Harbour Bridge with my camera, walked into the city, and I thought, what's it all about? This is bullshit. And I just remember Les saying, you can't put a score on a photograph. Who's to say what score? How can you score that print? Sure, if it's technically really bad, then yes, it shouldn't get scored highly. But what if it's the artist's intention to look a certain way, to have a certain aesthetic, to be a certain subject, shot a certain way, processed a certain way? It's just it's a game.
Yep.
But we all go for those things because we want to feel like we're getting somewhere in the industry and people like our work and we're respected, and you want to get a pat on the back every now and for all the hard work.
Yeah, you want some validation for the effort you've gone.
But once you get over that and you think, I don't need any validation anymore, I think it's liberating and nice. Yeah, but sometimes I'll see people win some awards and go, oh man, it'd be nice to be on the podium again and to win something. It's just to let everyone know that I'm still out there. I haven't retired yet. I haven't gone blind, But then I was saying to my wife the other day, we were just having this conversation. I said, I'm just trying to think of what I'd do if I went blind. And I thought, man, if I went blind, I'd get right into music and I would just compose, and I would, as long as I didn't have to look at anything, I would just do other things. And I thought, and I was going, wow, this would be so exciting, a whole new avenue of things to do. And
wow.
Yeah. And she's going, why are you talking like you're going to go blind? I said, I've got these floaters in my eye and maybe I will go blind. But it's not the end of the road. And
definitely not.
If you're into creating stuff, it can be anything. And we've been watching this show on TV called Blown Away, the back glass blowing and that. Man, some of the stuff that these guys are making with this glass, I go, that would be fun. Maybe I'd become a glass blower, which wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be no good if I was blind, but there's always something to do. You don't have to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Photography is fantastic. I'll never stop doing it, but not the only creative pursuit in the world.
No, that's it. And I think a lot of people forget that. They just get caught up in what they're doing and don't think about the alternatives that are there.
I know. I think, and I say to my kids, when you get up in the morning and you're going to work, if you're not happy about going to work, then you're not doing what you love. You need to love what you do. You work for so long, so much of your time goes into work. You may as well make it something that you really love, because it's not work then. 34 years now, and I don't feel like I've worked really that hard. I have, not hard, and not some of the stuff I used to do before I was a photographer. But yeah, anyone out there, freaking, you got a dream to start a gallery and be a successful photographer and have an awesome life, then the only thing that's stopping you is you stopping.
Yeah, definitely.
And stop until you get what you want. It's impossible to fail if you don't stop.
Absolutely.
And you just make the life you want to have.
I think that's fantastic advice.
I did. I've never thought that I wouldn't be successful. I've always just kept going until it worked.
Yeah.
And don't like the idea of failing.
No.
That much.
I've only got a couple more questions for you. One is, who else should I be talking to on the podcast?
Yes, have you spoken to any English photographers?
A few.
Cornish? Have you spoken to Joe Cornish?
No, he's on my list. I haven't caught up with him yet.
He's an awesome guy. Such a lovely gentleman. Just the kindest, sweetest man. He's just a typical English gent. And the other guy I really like is a guy named Steve Gosling. He's another English guy.
I haven't come across his stuff yet.
Yeah, Steve Gosling, he's awesome. He's awesome. He's got a good sense of humor and great photographer. Really strong compositions. Loves his black and white, and really good bloke, nice guy, good to talk to. He's great. Obviously, have you spoken to Tony Hewitt yet?
Yes, I spoke to him a little while ago. Yeah,
he's awesome. There's a really cool guy in LA called Andre Duman. He's awesome, more commercial. He does stuff, man. Every time I listen to him talk, we had him on it. He always inspires me because he just does cool stuff. He comes up with some weirdo idea, and he just goes and does it. So some of the projects that he's done and his ideas, it's, oh man, how did that come from? He was definitely worth chatting to. Hans Strand was another really interesting guy.
Yeah, I've got him on the list. Yeah.
He was good. Wolf was really cool to talk to.
Yep.
Done a few trips of art. He's a pretty lovely guy. I've also got Marcus Bell. He's Brisbane. He's an amazing photographer. Does weddings and stuff. Alan Copy. Have you seen Alan Copy's work? His stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he does really cool urban stuff, but really stylized. And
okay.
He's got a good story as well, so he's worth chatting to.
I'll have to pick him up. Thanks for those.
Yeah, there's a few tips there. There's so many others. I mean,
if we could sit here for hours.
yeah. That's right. There's something that I didn't get around to that I would like to have chatted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so hard getting people on time and
lining up times and
we had to change mine because my son he went to Vietnam, didn't he?
That's it. Yeah.
Now he's on a motorbike riding around Vietnam with his mates on his stay upright. They're scooters and not.
He'll have a ball.
Yeah, he's having a great time. But I'm the delivery boy at the moment while he's away, so we had to do the changes. But yeah. And you get another question, was it, or was that?
Yeah, no, I've got one more question for you. And for many, it's the most important thing I've got to get to the bottom of across all of the landscape photography community. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm a veggie, so
okay. Yeah.
So I don't have
no ham, just the pineapple.
I like a bit of pineapple on the pizza. I like a bit of sweetness. So maybe with that and some buffalo mozzarella and a bit of tomato paste and whatever else. I mean, simple's pretty good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me, Christian. It's been wonderful getting to know you a lot better.
Yeah.
Where can people find your work other than your gallery?
Yeah, just my website, christianfletcher.com. Obviously Instagram, christianfletcher_gallery, blah, blah, blah. But that's about it. You just got to Google Christian Fletcher and you'll come up with a guy who's a surfer. He's got more tattoos than I've had hot breakfast. So it's not me. I'm not the surfer. Yeah. But come into the gallery. That's the only way. That's the best way to see the work.
Fair enough.
Come into the gallery and have a look for yourself.
Thanks very much, Christian.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Vero, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.